Being a woman coming to West Point in 1976, I guess you could say it was traumatic. There was institutional bias against women. There was a lot of mental abuse, physical abuse. But one of the things that I knew when I got here is that I was going to get the best education that I could possibly get. So I was willing to pretty much endure anything to stay and get that diploma. I basically lived with my grandmother most of the time. She lived in the projects. We all lived in the projects. Same projects with, Diana Ross and ladies. They were a little bit older than us. So that was a time where we learned to be very, very independent because we had to. When I was an early teenager, I thought, I have to keep up. I wasn't even thinking about getting ahead. I was just thinking about keeping up, not getting left behind. What do I have to do? During the riots, that was a whole different experience for us. Now, it only went on for, 3 or so days. But we had a lot of visitors, like the 82nd Airborne, and we had the National Guard, and I think that was the first time I ever saw a black man in a uniform, and I was amazed and awed, but what I realized is that, hey, this might be an avenue for me, because I didn't see any women back there in those days, so I didn't know that the Army was for women. But when I saw, I was kind of in desperate straits for a minute there when I was a teenager. And I was sitting on a bench, my normal place, and I looked up and saw that sign that said, "Join the people who join the Army." So I just ran over there because I didn't have much else to do, and to see if I could just ask, do you take women in the Army? And to my amazement, they said, "Why, yes, we do." I remember being happy because I think that I had found a family in the Army. My battalion commander called me in one day and said, "How would you like to go to West Point?" And I said, "What I really need is some money to go to college." And he said, "Well, you can go to college at West Point." I said, "Oh, is West Point a college?" And he goes, "Well, yeah." And I said, "Do you get a degree?" And he goes, "Yeah, you get a Bachelor of Science degree." I said, "You could have led with that." So the first sergeant wrote out the orders, and that very next day I was gone. Stepping foot on West Point was like stepping onto a different planet. It was that different from anything I'd ever experienced. My big problem when I initially got to West Point was with communications. I was truly, from the deep ghetto in Detroit, and that's how I spoke. And so when I got here, I felt very, very isolated because I didn't think anybody understood me. There were so few people to talk to at West Point, and especially the first summer that you were there, I just had to survive. The only thing I knew at the time is that I am going to do this. I am going to succeed. I'm going to ask everybody for help. I am not going to back down. I'm going to do my absolute best, and the things that I can do better than other people, I'm going to do that, and I think I accomplished that. But I was doing this for all my family members that maybe weren't able to go to college, that they were still maybe in adverse circumstances in Detroit. And maybe they weren't able to get this opportunity. My message to the young people today is there's a such thing as leader skills. People are not real focused on that right now, but you actually have to be in order to get the things done that you think you're going to get done in your life. You have to have those leader skills and honesty, integrity. How do I become a competitive player in anything that I'm doing while being a person of integrity? That's hard, but that's what we teach, and that's what it takes. I'm not a political person, but I know that this nation needs to sustain its character if we're going to keep the lead. And like I said back at it, keep sleep, don't get behind. That was my fear as I was growing up, was don't get behind. But now I'm thinking, I need to be ahead. I need to be on the pointy edge of the spear on everything I do until the day I die.